Yeah. So you got your light set up. I have my books, so I look smart.
I will get the black instead of the. It's on the way. Like, and you are probably right.
All right, so episode 7,
It was a great
right?
episode.
Dude, was just all action. I mean, they had to show that they were playing. They're just trying to get through round 2 of the heads up of the teams, but some of these hands were insane. Like, Jesus Christ. So I forget if episode 6 ended with anything, but it's
No,
basically
I even watched a review from Daniel Negreanu's podcast, and he was saying, well, not him, but one of his colleagues was saying, like, they missed the cliffhanger. Like, the cliffhanger should have been like when Andy is thinking about bluffing with 8-5 suited on the river, and he doesn't. Like, that should have been the cliffhanger, but instead they make him check back. The whole team is disappointed, and the episode ends right after. It's like,
yeah,
you
you could
missed it.
go either way because the pot's not super huge. It's not a deciding pot. It would just be
Sure,
a
but
cliffhanger
right
because we
after
don't know what
there's
he's
just
doing.
nothing. Yeah.
Well, but what it did is the teams had things to say, and then it was like, let's see if he can recover from this.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really. He gets kind of, in my opinion, owned by Maria.
But at the same time, it shows why he wasn't a favorite in this type of format. Like, he's not as experienced in heads up and tournament plays, so there's definitely a big difference and a big gap in between playing cash games and tournaments, especially heads up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Maria's got that, has the edge in just experience in that sense. In maybe finding creative lines, like Andy might have a bit of an edge. They mentioned the one bet, he finds like some thin value. They're like, that's why, he's great because the deep stacks games, you find those thin value bets. But within like the first few hands, so Maria flops top pair with the 8, and then Andy has ace 10, he rivers the 10, and he goes for like the smaller river. So she bets the river, and they're talking about whether or not he should shove if it ever gets called, and then he bets like a lot smaller. And
Even
then
raised.
yeah. He min raises to like 400 and leaves himself back like 500 something, I think, right? And Maria uses like 2 time banks. So she uses 4 gold chips. Okay, the face you're making, like everyone was losing their mind. They're like, but then Josh and Fedor, who are on her team, are even like, well, that's kind of good for us because even if she wins, she's losing gold coins. But like, it's 4 big blinds, it's 2 big blinds, and we from where they're at, Johan already has well over 100, and a couple other players have 100. Like Fedor has 100 gold chips or something, gold coins, which are going to turn into big blinds. So we don't know if they play a tournament after or they play cash game, sit go style thing, whatever. But to me, it seems like if it costs you 4 big blinds to make the hero fold that she did, like it's absolutely worth it. The reactions that they were making was almost like it's worse to lose the gold coins than it is to lose that pot.
Well, I kind of see it this way too. Like, it feels like, I don't know. She's experienced enough that she should be able to make this decision within a time frame. And if she needs to get some time extension, fine. But out of everyone, she seems to be using it the most. So she used 2 in the first round. Now she used 2 more. Uh, she used 2 more before, right?
Yeah, she used with the trip queens, and
Yeah,
she
against
ran out of
Charlie.
time.
Yeah, and she
Yeah,
wanted to use more again.
so I think
And
she
now she
lost
used
6
4.
coins total now. I
I
think
think
she's
she
down
lost
6.
8. I think she lost 2 in the first round, like before when they were playing
I think it's 2 coins
sitting
for
goes.
it's in the first round, in the very first
Yeah.
round. Yeah, she did. I think you're right. She did. I think so. She's down 8 total because it's two coins per extension,
Yeah.
32nd extension.
Oh, but I think it changed too. I think I recall something saying that it was now 2 coins for time extension, but it might
So
have
maybe
been
she's down
1
7.
earlier. Yeah.
But that would mean in round 3 it could be, or the next round it could be 3 and then 4, which would be pretty
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't think obviously I'm not criticizing her player or whatever, or using the coins. Like, it's her thing. Like, she makes her own decision. But I just think it's really surprising for her to be using so many coins in so many spots. Like, I know, like, they're not easy spots to figure out, whatever, but I think you just need to go with your guts. And
I don't know about that because gut in that spot probably says the call. But then when you take a long look at it, you realize like he absolutely should be betting bigger there because like what value hands are betting for that size, and like it's hard to get any bluff through for that size. So I think she correctly like sniffs it out. But the gut instinct is probably like, well, I have to call this. An eight can't fold here. So I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, I think it was well worth it. Maybe not two time extensions. She probably knew that she needed to fold, and then it was like she needed to take a second to really like to actually like execute on the fold.
yeah,
But she is, out of all of them, she is a very well thought out like player. Not to say that Fedor's not, but just more that Fedor's some of his is automatic because he's so studied that or what she really leans into is getting into a good mental state and then being able to think through it. Whereas Fedor's leaning on his like actual study, and Josh and David might be leaning on their just experience, just length of experience time playing anyway. But I'm also just referencing like Maria's old stuff from years ago. Like if you followed Maria's career for ever, she put a lot of stress on mental health and resiliency and
yeah,
having good relationships with people and stuff. So I'm saying literally that it's a strength of hers to be able to figure it out even in a spot where she's unstudied. And if it takes extra time to do that, like if she wins the match, it's like, well, you lost 4 coins to win 30, so you're like plus 26, as opposed to like losing and then having Josh come in. Your team could still win, but like you don't get. I don't know. Not that it's a wash, but like I think it was not as big a deal as they were making it seem. Like every time she used it, they were like, "It's like, oh, don't touch the coins." It's like, I mean,
yeah.
if your
But
team's gonna
people
win,
also
it's worth it.
people also said in last episode that like she was tanking forever and that it was like unbearable to watch. So for them to be like waiting for her to make a decision all the time, and then she's in the tank, and it's like, she used time extension. Oh no, please don't do it again. Oh, she's doing it again. Oh my god, it's so painful.
Yeah, so
So
like you don't
I
want
think
your.
all of this adds up.
It's funny though because they're like you don't want to see your teammate doing that, but then they're like, wait a second, it's actually like a greatest outcome for us is that she
Uh-huh.
wins the match and but gets less reward for it, but our team
Mm-hmm.
still advances. So that was pretty funny. But they still have their team has such a great vibe. It's pretty cool to see them.
Yeah.
Talking in the back there.
This episode was interesting too. Like there was a lot of spots where Maria, I felt, went out of her comfort zone, like with some floats and stuff like that. So I was like, oh my god, now she's got to pull a bluff and it's gonna work super well because like she's never bluffing.
Yeah, were you
And
surprised by
every time it fell through, she didn't go for it, and I was like, oh, it's really a shame.
I see. Yeah, yeah. You're saying
There were a few
she
spots.
missed
There were
some
a few
spots,
spots
but
that she, not necessarily that she missed, but like she made very speculative calls and she didn't follow through with like some type of bluff on the river.
yeah, call,
So
turn, fold, river
yeah.
kind of
So
thing.
like there was Jack 4 with Jack of Spades 4 clubs on
Yeah, the Robbie call. She makes the
yeah.
Robbie call and then she gives up.
Yeah, so third club came on a turn and it was a paired board.
Yeah.
But like she's chasing a 4-high flush draw. So I'm pretty sure like she's trying to go
No,
for
she
something.
also had an over.
Sure, but
And she blocked the nuts. I'm literally just repeating the Robbie logic from the Garrett hand. So,
okay. Because I was like,
it's a joke.
she doesn't even have a straight draw on turn.
Yeah, no, it's eight deuce of clubs, three of hearts, three of clubs. She has the four of clubs, and I'm saying she blocks the straight flush
Yeah.
with the four of clubs. But yeah, she makes the call on the turn and then just kind of like
Also, she did have a straight draw.
no, it's eight deuce three three, and she has
Oh,
four of
okay.
clubs with jack of spades.
Okay, yeah.
But Andy cannot have ace four or 4 5 of clubs. is what I'm saying. So, so I'm saying when she makes the call as the joke, like she also blocks it. That was Robbie's logic in the hand with Garrett was like, well, I blocked the nuts. It's like she literally blocked the straight flush and that was it. It's like
Yeah,
I blocked the nuts and I have an over.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought so. Were you surprised then by the 9-3 of spades shove? Because see, I thought yeah, she might have been playing a little snug, but she did go for the all in with the 9-3 of spades.
I wasn't surprised because like she was committed. So like there's no point in her calling. She can't call the min raise. Like she's gonna have less than a pot size bet on turn. And she's out of position. So she just have to shove it. Her teammate saw it too. She's like, oh cool, now we're winning. Because like there's no
Yeah,
way she's calling. So she knows she has too much equity and she just like has to go with it. She's definitely not expecting a fold, like to a min raise. She's just like, all right, time to gamble.
so I wasn't paying attention to stacks, but yeah, that makes it a little
Oh
less
yeah,
interesting than what I thought.
the way she plays so far, like I'm very confident that she if she has more chips, she's just calling. Like I'm pretty sure she's not pulling the trigger and shoving.
So
Like if
I
you put her in the Johan shoes from like last episode or 2 episodes ago, like when he had just a flush draw on King 8 something, and he made Olga folded E8-4. Like
yeah,
I'm very confident Maria is just calling and not shoving.
yeah, in the spot where we said yeah. Um, so I don't know how many people will look at Andy's raise and be like, he's making a move there. But this is the lens that I'm looking through is Andy's raise is actually very standard in that spot, and then especially with that hand. But like post solver era, what you start to see, like we start to see new spots that become standard moves that in the past would have been considered like really creative and odd. But the king seven deuce flop is like the quintessential standard c bet flop for all reasons. Like pre-flop caller has a lot of aces and they don't have a lot of king x as much as they have like all these disconnected, and the board is super disconnected. So the pre-flop raiser has like all the advantage on like the king 7x board. But what that means is the pre-flop raiser is going to bet like all the time. So the pre-flop caller gets to raise this spot a lot. And then queen jack, like ace 10 just feels like garbage. Like it's really hard to continue. And you get to do it with hands that have really clean equity. So the what do you have, 4 or 5 of hearts, and it's the king of hearts has like
It was 4-3 a heart and it was King
4-3.
7-5. So he
Yeah,
has
so
a gut shot.
he has the gut shot, but even so, if it was king seven deuce and he had backdoor wheel and backdoor
Mm-hmm.
hearts, like it's still great because all
Absolutely.
of the cards that hit him don't hit Maria's value hands that call. So like obviously king X calls. So when a king C bets and then you get check raised, like the king that's likely going to be in there, like it's not going to hit the 6 on the turn when Andy has 7-6. So I'm saying all of the range of hands that can check raise there are like 7-8, 7-9, 7-6, and then the backdoor heart draws, and then you get to just call with your flush draws, like the spade, because you've got all these hands now that can check raise and like start to turn it into bluffs. You don't have to bluff with your spade draws that have like such decent equity. So I'm sitting there thinking like, man, what a standard spot. Andy definitely knows it, like playing these deep stack cash games. And then I'm like, Maria also knows that Andy knows that. And then you're like, well, she also is just short that she has to shove. And so now I feel like I went way deep into like, man, they're like really leveling each other here. It's like, nah, she's just not folding a flush draw.
Yeah,
So I
unfortunately.
thought it was a cool, I thought it was a cool shove by her, just sniffing out that like he's gonna be wide. And really she might have thought like she was behind, but she just has to get it in.
Because like his min raise was I don't know. If she called, I think she has like what was it? I can't remember the number, so I don't want to be wrong, but I think it was like 2/3 of her stack or something.
Okay. Yeah. I have it right now. Plus four. So she bets 180. He raises to 300K. So she
She
has
bets
the
180.
she has 180 to call. So she bet 120.
Okay,
And then
yeah,
it says 180 to call with 900K behind. So she's going to end up with like 700K in a pot that's over 700. It's about like 800.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean two-third of her stack. I mean two-third left of her stack.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it makes a whole lot of sense. And then the very next hand is the ace queen versus ace jack, where this is when I messaged you. It's like I really wanted Maria to win. Like you know, thought I'm a big fan, so I thought that would be super cool. And then Andy hits the jack on the flop, and I was like, yes. Wait, shit, I don't want that. But I'm like so much rooting for the underdog that like
Yeah.
the way that they can bring you in because you're watching a live stream. It's just like you get to see every single hand. I don't know. You're so much into like I want to see this player win, but this is so much more of like they identify the spots where you know the underdog you know play makes it a little bit more exciting. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that I found myself being like like celebrating the jack and then being like shit. Wait, this is not what I wanted
Yeah.
because I just thought it was cool that the worst hand like got there. So then
So that match was fun, but I don't think there was like many mistakes made. And afterwards, Andy goes through and he plays against Josh, and there you see like glaring mistakes like everywhere, and everybody's just like pointing them and like they're shocked by it and they just don't get it. But it's also like uh you can't know what you don't know. So like he's a very good player. Like all of this is his. Like you can't take that away from him. But like if you don't play tournaments, you don't play heads up much, like you just don't know these spots. And you don't know that these big blinds are so valuable that you just can't let it go for without going for a fight. Like heads up matches are the same as cash game. Like cash game, everybody has range of hands that they're playing. Like they're not playing everything, but when you're heads up, like everybody's playing close to 90% of hands because like you can't let your blinds go. So it changes the whole dynamics of the match.
yeah, because every hand you're playing is against that other person. So every decision is kind of a counter to it. Uh, so you do get to have kind of like a strategic approach to it. In a cash game, you can kind of just sit back and like, I'll take my spots. Because if you fold a whole bunch, like there's still going to be some spots where you can like squeeze 3 or 4 players. But heads up, you have to adopt a strategy against the player that you're playing against.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're not countering them, you're just going to run into it. But
The incentives are very different. So in cash game, like you can be patient because like you don't necessarily need to steal blinds. Like obviously, like the blind structure in cash games can differ. Like they can be straddles and stuff like that. So it can be very different, but it's still a very different fight. Here, like it's so hard to make a pair that like you see a lot of ace high, king high calls just because like you're trying to defend your soldiers in the line and just try to bring them home. But it's in cash game, you just like trying to pick your spots. It doesn't matter if you get your blind steal all the time. Like you can just reload and go for it. Like it's really the big pots matter more than stealing the small pots away.
but even four-handed and even three-handed tournament final table, if the third player is super short stack, like you can pass on some spots because of ICM.
Mhm.
But all of that goes away when your heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting you said there's no I think we saw a bunch of mistakes against Josh, and I think they just edited the big hands against Maria, and maybe they didn't play that long, but we don't know if there weren't many mistakes made against Maria, because then seeing what he did against Josh, like I don't know if he was tilted or something, or like was trying to be conservative because he made it through Maria and now has to make it through I don't know, but he could have easily been making those types of folds against Maria, just like kind of inconsequential, but a lot of them maybe built up like we didn't see it. Um, he could, but the hands they showed, there were not a ton of mistakes in the match against Maria. But then the mistakes against Josh is kind of also betting spots that he shouldn't. So the explanations made sense. Yeah, Josh thought he was betting for value. So Andy correctly got the vibe that Josh is betting for value and then made the fold, even though he folded the better hand, but because Josh is betting the wrong. So I don't know how I felt about it. Like I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that's really, an interesting spot, but he's not doing it on purpose. So it's like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Um,
It was
Well,
also
let's
interesting to hear Charlie take on it. Like he was saying, he didn't chose Josh because like he likes the guy, he's very experienced, but he's also uh how do you say it? He has a hard time keeping his cool.
They
So
said he's a steamer.
yeah, exactly. So uh it's a good thing to know. Like, and you can see it sometimes. It's just like seems like some decisions are made out of spite more than strategy or something. So it's a little
Yeah, the
bit
very
more.
first one with but Charlie saying can say that because the first hand that when he got beat by Josh, Josh was like, "Well, I'm gonna lose heads up, so let's just gamble."
Yeah.
Old school. It's time to go. Time to go home.
Hmm.
So the first hand though, Queen 10 versus King. Well, the first hand we see, but it's Queen 10 versus King Deuce, 3 Queen 5, 6 6. I think they check the flop and Josh bets the turn. Andy calls the turn, and then the river's another 6. And I kind of thought that was a great spot that Andy could have raised, especially like his background. And then given that it's the first level, the blinds are small, like theoretically may not be the best decision, but just for the sense of setting the tone for the heads up match, like if we're talking about how the dynamic of heads up is like no matter what happens, if he raises and it gets picked off, or he raises and Josh folds, like you're just setting the tone that like when this board gets scary, you're going to face some bets.
Hmm.
And you don't even have to get value every time that you have it. Like you can just whittle away your opponent every time the board is scary. If they're just going to give up, you're just like hammering away. So I thought that was like a great spot that he could have taken, but he didn't. He gives up, and then Josh has queen. Andy obviously
Oh, he
thinks
didn't
like,
give up. He recalled.
oh yes, sorry. I thought it was a great spot to raise over Josh's bet.
Hmm.
That's why it's great, because if Josh checks, he's obviously going to call anything that could be like a bluff. But since Josh bets and the river pairs the board, it's like a great spot for Andy to try and put in a bluff that could be pretty cheap. Whether he gets called by a queen every time is like kind of inconsequential as far as setting the tone, and you're not losing as much in terms of like big lines.
It's not necessarily crazy, but I think it's a big jump from going from hero calling to bluffing. So like he's hero calling on a turn with a little bit of a draw, and on river to change his mind, flip it, and try to use it as a bluff instead. Uh, it's possible to do it. I don't think it's the best thing, but I don't think it's the worst either.
You're talking about if his plan changing his plan.
Yeah. But also, like,
Well,
what are you targeting to fold? So you're raising the river and you're trying to get like a queen's probably not folding, a six not folding, and they're all in Josh's range. So you're targeting like 5x and 3x that maybe are continue betting, but they probably don't. They're probably bluff catching themselves. So
wait,
you're,
hang on a second, let's go back, because he doesn't have a pair. Andy calls with king high.
I know.
So you're saying if he calls him the turn uh as a hero against Josh's like jack high garbage,
Yeah.
and then the turn and then the river, if your plan was I'm calling because Josh can have a bunch of like air balls
Straight
that I'm beating,
draws,
and then when
4x,
the
7, 8.
yeah, when the river pairs the 6, it's like, well, that doesn't change anything. I'm still beating all the same hands, so I have to continue with the hero call. So he can't. So to jump then to turning that hand into a bluff is ridiculous, because your original thought process was I'm beating a bunch of hands that Josh is barreling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't think it's ridiculous to be going for a bluff, but I'm just not sure. Like, are you trying to get ace high and better king eyes to fold to your bluff?
Well, I kind of just assumed that when Josh also bets the river, that it funnels out some of the weakest hands. What I'm thinking is that Josh wouldn't polarize correctly with the bottom portion that needs to bluff and the hands that can check, and he might be trying to barrel with some ace high, like you're saying. Doesn't make sense. I'm thinking he probably could.
Hmm.
So then, yeah,
I wasn't saying it doesn't make sense. I was asking you what you were targeting if you were going
oh
to change this into a bluff.
yeah. Well, I also didn't think that turn call was like straight hero. Like I thought maybe the turn call could be like a float to bluff at the river.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, that's right. There's a very small range of hands that you would be trying to get to fold. It's like just pocket pairs because you're not expecting a queen to fold.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would be targeting like ace high and smaller pairs that maybe he thinks needs to continue to go for like thin. There's maybe a conversation in there about sizing, like depend if he bets this certain size, you can turn into a bluff. If he bets this other size, it's like he's
But
not
also
folding these
going
hands.
back
But
to his
yeah,
knowledge of heads up and stuff like that, like he probably doesn't have a good idea of what the value betting range is on the river in that run out. So that might be why he's not even considering turning it into a bluff, because like he's not even sure uh what is supposed to be going on in that spot.
yeah, yeah. I definitely didn't think that deep. I just kind of thought, wow, what a great spot to set the tone in the beginning, because
Yeah.
then the structure moves kind of fast. Um, Within the hour, the when Charlie and Fedor played, I think they like went all the way down to level 6 or whatever, but level 4 they said like, man, yeah, they've been playing for an hour, and they were both like 10 big. It gets to 200K big blind like pretty quick, and they only started with 2 million each. So you set the tone in level 1, and then by the time you get to level 3, which is only 20-40 minutes away or something, I don't know, so what, 20-40 hands away, um a big pot there in level 3 is like huge for you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then they play a bunch of monster flops. I forget the one that he loses, but yeah, they say that Josh is so Josh uh Andy flops a set. Josh turns a straight with like king jack on a ace 10 or 9. Yeah, it was like 9-10.
It was queen 9 flop and turn it was a 10.
Okay, queen 9-4. Turn
Mm-hmm.
is a 10. Um, and then river's a queen. And
Yeah.
that's when they say, yeah, Josh is a steamer. So they're assuming that he's going to, tilt it off. And then maybe because he's steaming, Josh makes these weird bets with the ace high monotone diamond board. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to fast forward through here. So Josh loses the hand and then has pocket eights on 9-7-5, where Andy has 6-3 is a double gutter. The turn is a queen of
Queen.
diamonds. Yeah, and then
River is a 6.
the river's the 6, and Josh goes to bet. Andy doesn't call, but that's monster flop, which is pretty exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then king 3, king 8, Andy flops quads. Doesn't really get anything out of Josh. 4-turn queen river. I think he bets and Josh folds.
You bet turn and he got called by king I, and the river wasn't that great, and
Yeah.
you bet and he folded.
Yeah, so then it's king jack, first pocket fours, queen 9-4, 10 on the turn, queen on the river, like big pot.
Were you
And then
surprised by Josh call, like Andy check raise a flop with pocket fours? Josh calls turn, Andy bets big, and Josh only calls turn, like where I feel it's a very dynamic board and a lot of hands are like I feel would be committed to call now and not necessarily bluffing river. So maybe like jack nine or hands like that, that could be like straight draws and pairs, but that may not necessarily be bluffing river or just like hero calling. I
yeah,
feel like,
also queen 4 spades, so like some spade draws that are calling the turn, but like hero the river,
yeah, exactly.
or fold rather, hero fold the river. Like 9 something of spades,
Mm-hmm.
10 something of spades. And then also, like Maria was mentioning, he could also just have value hands that snap now that hero fold a river spade or a paired river or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was weird that he didn't go for the all in there. I think Fedor said it's just too good. So he like emotionally in the hand was like, well, I got the best trap here. I don't want to raise and have him fold now. But yeah, it's definitely the spot to get it in for sure.
But like even if he has fours and imagine the river is like a jack, like I'm not sure we're stacking him no more.
Yeah, because then it's 9 queen, 10
9, 10
jack, and
jack
like
queen, so
so
like
many
4 card
kings.
straight.
Yeah, Yeah, he could get away from it. Yeah, it's just so many river cards that are, and he doesn't always have fours.
Basically, let's put it the other way around. What ends is he folding if we shove turn?
Yeah, hands that are never gonna call the river.
Okay, but which one? Like, which one did he bluffed on a flop that
Yeah, what
he's?
you're saying, what hand would he check raise and then
Yeah,
bet and fold in the turn? Like, I don't know. I'm giving the margin of error for him having some trash
yeah.
that could potentially fold if that's what Josh is worried about. I can't raise here because he's going to fold some hands. Those hands are not calling the river anyway.
Yeah,
If they're
maybe
that weak
king
that they're going to
10.
call her in the turn.
Maybe king 10 goes with the bill.
Yeah. So 10 jack. But that's definitely shouldn't be folding the turn. But uh,
Yeah, I don't think 10 jack is folding a turn.
just looking at all the check raises, like just garbage spades, but they still should get it in. So yeah, I don't know. Especially just because the turn bet
Yeah, I'm
gives
also
them
not sure if like king 10 or 10-8 are actually betting the turn now that they have
right. They're
showdown
checking now.
value.
Yeah, they're checking now.
So yeah, I really have a hard time finding one hand that would be bet folding that turn.
So the ace three hand is three diamonds on the flop. Josh has queen eight. Andy has ace three. It gets to the river. It's ace eight four diamonds flop, and then two of clubs turn, six of spades river. And I didn't realize this at first, but it's a chop. So like, not only is it a chop, every other single ace beats Andy, except
Mhm.
so like um ace five is beating the four on the board now. And if Josh had ace deuce, it's two pair. So when Josh puts the bet out there in Andy's shoes, it's like I'm calling to chop and I'm actually losing to like a ton of all of the other aces, not a ton, like literally every other ace X I'm losing to. And I'm losing to like sneaky flop. Like he's losing to so many hands. Josh needs to have like naked king of diamonds, right? Like what bluff does he have? That
Well, I think heads up you could have more than the king of diamond, like even a jack of diamond might be good enough to start bluffing with.
I mean, I'm just trying to find hands outside of just one diamond that that bluff because it's 560 in the pot, I think, and he bets 300.
Mhm.
So it's not massive, it's not huge. And Josh said he thought he was betting for value, like real thin. I guess he wanted like a worse eight to call, maybe a six. He was like hoping for a six or something.
Yeah.
But in Andy's shoes, like I kind of get it because what does he actually beat? I mean, at the end of the day, you have an ace, and benefit of the doubt, like you just kind of have to call. But I didn't realize at first that it was a worse spot than it actually looks like at first.
Yeah. The reason he thinks he might have a six is because like there's a couple of straight draws that could improve to a
It's
six.
like five, six, six, seven gut shots. Like,
Yeah, five
yeah.
six is great because it's a double gutter on flop, so it's like a three or seven gives him a straight. So six makes a ton of sense to get there. Uh, I agree, it's 10. It's also targeting an eight, possibly a four as well. So four could be leveling himself, like you could call it 4-5-4-3 on flop and turn a gut shot, continue as well. On the river, uh, it's still only a four, but he could still think he busted diamond draws and stuff like that. So could see a hero sometime, especially if you're a little bit less experienced, could lean one way or the other. Uh, Ended up working out for him because and that's the thing, like he sensed strength out of him. He didn't think he was bluffing, so that's why he was folding. And it makes sense in that lens. And in the other, it doesn't.
So now Josh gets him in the mode against the ropes of folding, and they go king nine of spades for Andy versus king of clubs seven of hearts with for Josh, and king high flop. And it's like, all right, well, we're winning this one. Um, there's a bet on the flop. They both check the turn. River's a queen, and then Josh uh, bets like 550 into 660,
Mhm.
and and Andy finds the hero again. He like counts his chips out and then talks himself into a fold again. Like
He was probably calling any river except an ace or a queen, and these were the two scary cards for him.
and then the
Uh,
sizing
yeah,
also leads him towards like, oh, geez, like monsters under the bed with the queen.
but I don't think Josh was lying. Like, I'm pretty sure Josh realized that he has like so many busted straight draws that he would have to go big with his straight draws. So he sized big with his king, thinking he might get called light because of this. Well, it was king queen flop, so like jack 10, jack 9, 10 9, all straight draws
No, I
around
mean
there.
what
Possibly ace
Andy
10,
has
ace
to
jack.
bluff catch with. Andy has to bluff catch with ace five, like pocket pairs, sixes,
Yeah,
sevens,
pocket
stuff like
pairs
that.
works. Yeah.
Yeah. So Josh is like, I have 10 jack, I have jack nine, ace 10, whatever. I need to bet big and have him bluff catch with a worse pair. Andy realizes that Josh is either has like nuts or nothing, except he chose the wrong nuts. Nuts to Josh was a king and not a queen. And Andy thinks, well, Andy also has a king. So it's like
Yeah.
less likely Josh has one, which makes sense, which, it's just crazy situation that it is. But he folds and Josh tells him he has a queen, which is odd. He pulled out the old school grinder table talk, which is like, he can tell Andy's uncomfortable and he's playing good cop, bad cop. Bad cop is the raise. And then after Andy folds, he comes in with good cop, like, you good, tough play. I can't get any chips out of you today, huh? Like, you're making all the right folds. Just good cop, bad cop Andy into this, like, okay, well, he's not trying to beat me. He's just out flopping me and he's just getting more lucky than I am. So like it becomes a lot easier to for Andy to settle into, like, I guess I'm just getting unlucky and losing this one. Meanwhile, Josh is just like running over him with weird mistaken value bets that like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When he said it, I thought it was awesome because like,
There was also a lot of disagreement with within the fedor room that Handy shouldn't be checking back on a turn. Like King 9 like definitely needs to go for value again, probably even for 3 streets. So like that checking the turn was like a big mistake.
oh yeah, yeah. He's like, the fact that he's not going for all three with top pair here,
Yeah.
but with this spot too.
So it opened up the spot that he lost a hand because otherwise like the spot never happens. Like if Josh
Yeah.
is check calling turn, like he's not turning top pair into a bluff in the river. And if he's opening, and if he's seeing all of these straight draws, he's probably hero calling too, because he thinks he has top pair. King 7 is super good in a heads up match and whatever. So, pretty sure King 9 takes on a huge pot there.
Yeah. So yeah, all the pieces just kind of fall into
Or
place.
maybe he just doesn't bet the river. Maybe the queen scares him and he just checks back, whatever. But at least by betting turn, like he gets to win the pot,
Yeah,
which would have been
he gets to
huge.
set it up for check check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Josh ends up winning. Which I was rooting for him. I mean, I like them both. I like watching Andy on the live streams.
It
Um,
was funny when Andy went back to his room to his teammates and they all tell him, yeah, you folded a bunch of winners. And he's like, shocked, really? Really? Like he didn't have queens like he told me?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would have told him right then. It's like, hey, you just got run over. All right, see you later. I'm gonna go play my match now.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of rough. I mean, he wants to know. The curiosity would have killed him otherwise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was rough. So then they edited it real well. But so then Josh and David get out there and they talk to each other. And what do they say?
It's crazy. Like on so many levels, it seems so wrong. Like, and other people are
Inappropriate.
talking about it too. Yeah, definitely. So David Williams comes out and he talks to Josh and he tells him about all the crazy folds that Andy just did. So first off, you know your teammate's gonna listen to it. So I think it's a little bit wrong to just say it like right away, like, hey, this guy, like he made all these bunch folds. So you kind of
Just shitting
laugh
on
him
him.
about him. Yeah,
Yeah.
to the opposite team, whatever. So all of this is really weird, basically, but also like you're going in a match against it. so you're pretty much like boosting his confidence against you. So I don't think that's also a good strategy at all to employ.
Yeah, it's not like he said, great bet. It's not like he said, hey, you read him right, and like really good bluff, but you are giving him a pat on the back in an indirect way. So now you're going to play heads up against the guy who thinks he's unbeatable, and mental part of it is so huge when you're playing
Yeah.
heads up. Like he's going to go for spots now that he otherwise maybe would not have.
Hmm. So David comes and I don't know. It really seems like he's honestly, it seems like he's tilted from what happened with Andy's match before. So
I mean, I don't know what was up, but yeah, David just doesn't have a fold button in this match.
it's not necessarily not a full bottom, but it's really seemed like he's already yeah, tilted. Like he's not centered. Like he sits down and he's already like emotionally affected by what happened before, and he wasn't even involved much. Like, yeah, your teammate lost a match before. It doesn't really affect you right now. Like you're still the anchor of the team. Like there's still a chance you move forward. Like it's not over.
This is
You
actually, I
got
mean, and this is the last one. It's not like he has to beat all three in a row.
exactly.
He just has to beat Josh.
Yeah. So and the way that they talk to each other, like it seems like they already know each other well, whatever. So it's always cool to play against a friend. Like it's not as intimidating or whatever. So it feels like you really should have done a better job of just like do a Charlie Carroll thing and just like throw the power over his head or something.
Yeah, we
Like
talked
you
about it. He
need.
didn't, he walked right out of that room. Andy comes back and they said, man, you folded a bunch of winners. And then he's like, all right, I guess I'm going to go play. And they didn't give Charlie his chance to give him a good aura. They didn't set
Mhm.
his aura up. Big mistake. Whole team mistake. Team leader's
Yeah, no.
fault. Team leader should have pulled him back and said, hey, look, you need to get your chi correct before you go out there and punt 70 bigs. So they also were just playing kind of um
Yeah,
awkward.
so Charlie didn't pick Josh because like he was a steamer, but I think David is also a steamer. Like he probably chose him because like he was the best choice in the end, but he's also a steamer.
Yeah, they're a little old. So I was gonna say it seemed like maybe Josh was more emotionally invested just from all of the uh, comments he was making in the back room while he was watching everyone.
Hmm.
But they both are. They're both like pretty emotionally invested in playing. And
I would say the big difference that I saw is like Josh is really invested, like swings one way and the other, but when he plays, he seems to be able to center himself back. So even though like he's still got cooler with like King Jack against fours, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. And it's like
he took a deep breath,
pause,
and yeah, he
yeah,
came back
and
to
then
it.
we
You
go
could see
back
it.
exactly. And I feel like we don't see that from David. So David is
Oh,
like, oh well, but before, like in the sitting go 4 against 4, like he's just like hero calling Coon and whatever. It's just like snap calling. It's like very little thought process and stuff like that. So this guy definitely does need the time extension. Like you'll never see that of him. Like him
yeah.
taking the full time is already an extension. Like it's excruciating for him to put his chips in.
Yeah, I
Right or
wasn't disagreeing
wrong.
with you. I was just gonna say, well, we only saw three hands with him anyway. Like we didn't really see a
Yeah.
bunch of opportunity because then he pulls the old move where like he checks his cards immediately while Josh is getting him centered on the RFID,
Mm-hmm.
and then he opens and Josh is like, "You didn't look," and David's like, "Well, I'm making it 40 no matter what, right?" Which is also not true because there's absolutely a limping strategy heads up, but it's not like that's what they're talking about. But it's like he saw the opportunity to do the old school live shit where you can
Mm-hmm.
pretend you didn't look at your cards. It's like Josh isn't gonna fall for that. Like you're not at MGM with some like tourist on vacation. Like Josh is gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't look at your hands, did you?" And then David was like, yeah, what does it matter? And then Josh looks at seven deuce. He's like, still just folding. He's not gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I could bluff this guy off his blind hand and then raise. And then David's like, well, now I have to look. Like we've all played that scenario out a million, like a million times.
Yeah.
Everyone's called the raise against the guy who didn't look and ran into kings. Like it's not, it's not a crazy thing. But then he shut. So he
It ended up
opens
being a
40.
massive punt.
So yeah, what I missed, it's like I kind of missed it. Just David opens 40, Josh raises with nines, and then what? David shoves with ace four and gets snapped.
Yeah, so I didn't count, but like I believe all the people that like or 77 blinds or something.
Yeah.
So it's between 75 and 77 blinds. So it's huge, huge. And like, I don't know, your move is just relying on you saying that you didn't look at your hand. So maybe he's trying to three bet you light and then you can shove light. But also, like, this hand is so callable in position and just like play post.
Yeah, yeah, exactly too. Like the specific hand he has just can just call against, even if Josh is doing something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You're already ahead. So
So that was the quickest match and like not the best played, I think.
yeah, yeah, I agree. But it's funny because Fedor and Maria, when they started, they were like, "Oh, these are just going to be like the two boys watching a football game, sharing a beer or whatever."
Yeah.
So we got some closure on the Jungleman and Johan, but I also didn't understand some. Well, actually, I had a question. Did they have a 30K chip? It seems like they bet 60K and they throw out two chips. Josh threw out three chips when he bet 90K, and there was like a call for 30 more or something, and David threw out like one chip. It feels like 30K doesn't make sense to me because the blinds are like 10, 20, 20, 40. They do 40, 80, and then like 61, 20 or something like that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, do they have like 30K and 10K chip? I found myself trying to figure out what the hell, because it looks like they only have two. They have light blue and dark blue, and they have one red chip.
So you're trying to figure out the
I was trying to
domination.
figure out what the denominations were, because at one point in like the previous episode, she called like Maria or someone maybe called like 150 with like a red chip and a blue chip. And I was like, then trying to figure out what the blue chips were. And now I think the light blue are like 30K, but that makes no sense because they need a 10K chip, right?
Yeah,
Because the blinds are 10, 20. So like they need a 10. So what do they have? 10 and 30K chips? Just weird. I mean, it could
it
be for the
is.
sake of just having bigger stacks and more chips to like sit on the table. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I thought that was odd, and I felt like I needed to figure it out. But I still haven't figured out what the red one is. So now I'm going to be on the lookout for bet sizes when they use
All
the
right.
red one.
I solved this for you. I will do that. I won't do it right now, but I will solve it and I will send you the answer and you'll be
Yes,
happy.
yes. Well, are you going to Google it, or are you going to rewatch and solve it?
Oh no, I'm gonna do the work. Fuck you. I'm gonna
Okay, good.
Google it. You think you're gonna have the answer there? Like I'm not even sure.
Dude, Reddit is pretty deep. Like this, it's probably on Reddit already. They
Yeah.
probably got a screenshot from someone from Maria's phone that she shared on maybe
I'm
a
sorry.
link.
I'm not gonna take the answer from a flat earther that's gonna be out there. Like, no, wait. No, I'm gonna figure it out.
Okay, so we get some more discussion on the uh, team order selection. Well, so Fedor and Maria talk about the next round and who's going to go first, and that seemed pretty fair. Um, it was like Fedor already won some coins, um, so they
But
could
she
send.
did too.
Yeah.
She won a
Oh,
match, no?
it
She
was the
won
choice.
against Charlie.
Yeah, but the choice was, does Josh go first or Maria goes first? Because Fedor went first the day prior, the on
Okay,
that
yeah.
one. So since Josh already won more coins, I think, than Maria did. But I just
Okay.
remember them saying that Josh won some more coins, so now we're going to send Maria first to give her a chance, and it was like kind of fair in that sense. I mean, there's no need to like beat a dead horse. They've obviously all talked about it a bunch,
Mhm.
um, and so then Charlie Carroll's comment when he played heads up with Fedor, like, "Oh, you screwed your team over by going first." Um, but I do wonder if there's any kind of issue with like team morale. If say Fedor does go first and he's like, well, we're just going to take the best chance for the team to win. Like the best opportunity for the team is like me to go first and beat the person that they send first and blah blah blah. And then let's say he beats two players and then he gets busted. So Maria goes second maybe and only has to beat like their worst player hypothetically, but is she already then demotivated because it's like, well, Fedor just ran us over and went twice first? Like, I doubt it. It's kind of worth thinking about a little bit, but I think in the end, it's just they were adults and they were like, hey, it's kind of fair given the outcome that we've seen already. So let's just go make our decision based on what happened. Not that we had any input on how Josh's matches went and all that. So now we just send Maria first.
Fedor definitely conceded because like Maria wanted to debate the matter, and like Fedor was just like, no, there's no need to talk about it. It's fine.
Yeah, which I thought was just a very like I'm gonna say, which I thought was like a pretty nice, mature way to do it. But they're adults. But I'm saying it's nice that they did it in contrast to Jungleman's team. It only seems really nice because it's in contrast to Jungleman having an issue with it.
Yeah, but I didn't get the part that the choice was between Maria and Josh. So what's odd? It's like, why are they both deciding and Josh is not in the conversation? Like, I thought the conversation was like between Fedor and Maria, and Fedor was just like conceding, oh, it's fine, you can go first. Like, I don't mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't see the edit or whatever. He could have been in the bathroom.
Yeah, but it's odd to be choosing this and like him not being there, no?
Okay, so what happens is it cuts to Maria and Fedor. Maria is saying, I had a pep talk with myself and I think I should go first if you think that's fair. And I'm just gonna Occam's razor, easiest explanation wins. Maybe just Josh was like, hey guys, I don't want to go first tomorrow. I'm going to the bathroom, whatever, I'm tired. And then so it really is just up to Maria and Fedor. Maria's like, look, I do think I want to go first. Like, simple explanation. We don't know what happened. It is, a reality show-esque kind of thing with some edits. I don't think
it's fine.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
just that you said it's just that you said the choice was between
because I thought
her
Fedor
and
made a
Josh,
comment.
and I was like, okay.
So the talking they did, Fedor's talking head moment with the camera or whatever, and he basically was just, I think, was talking about their initial decision, where Fedor was just saying, and our initial decision for me to go first wasn't a crazy tactical thing. We just didn't think much about it. And now on day 2, we switched it up and Maria's going to go first, but it also just happens to work out that it's fair because Josh has won 2 matches now. So it's not like we were in the room, rock, paper, scissors, trying to decide between Maria, Josh, or myself. It was just, we're going to switch it up. It's, Maria was offering me to have a discussion about going first, but I said, Maria, go first. And then it also just happens to work out because Josh has some chips already. So Josh is comfortable maybe sitting off and going third again. But then, Fedor also mentioned watching the players was a big help. Not that he's intentionally like saying, no, you go first so I can watch who you're playing. So when you bust, I can then go in with more information. Like, definitely not that. But it looks like they're definitely trying to contrast it with Jungleman and Johan, because then we get some closure there. Like, they definitely made up. Johan made some point, but I kind of don't get where Johan's coming from, because they made the point that like they're friends outside of this show. So Yo would be pretty upset if Jungle did something, or either one of them did something, they shake hands and make a deal, and the other one like stabs him in the back for the sake of a reality show. It's like, how can they continue being friends outside of the show? Which, first of all, like, you're poker players. How do you not play the game and then leave the game and be like, okay, we're back to being friends? Like, well, I mean, he cursed you out, sure, but like, it's not like him stabbing you in the back in a reality show for prize money is any different than him like outplaying you at a final table for prize money. But he also said he wouldn't screw over Jungle. The phrasing he used was like, he's not going to screw over Jungle. They shook hands on it, and but he already did. Like, it already happened. He already went first. He won his 90 coins. Like, it's really easy for him now to not get on his pedestal, but be like, you know what? We're friends. I'm not going to shake your hand and then stab you in the back. It's like, yeah, because you don't have to. So I didn't know where he was coming from, where he was saying that. He kind of made it sound like, hey, we're going to be friends and I'm not going to do anything dirty. So I expect him to not do anything dirty either. And I think that's what Jungle was pissed about to begin with, is like, Johan didn't even want to like acknowledge the fact that he got like the best outcome and got super lucky with it.
I just think the whole argument is just running in circle. Like, even if we lean towards Jungleman and like we 100% agree. So what's the deal? Jungleman goes first and Johan gets screwed? Like, you never get a win situation. Like it's
Well, so
either one goes or the other one goes,
I don't know if you
and they
saw on
decide to
Twitter,
choose.
they like they Negronier's one. I think Jungleman on Twitter was like defend, and this was definitely recorded before this, so people watched the episode. They said some shit, and then Jungle gets on Twitter like defending the EV of like the coins.
No, they definitely recorded it.
So 3-4 months ago this happened, and then the episode comes out and people are arguing about it, and Jungleman gets on Twitter 4 months after it happens to debate his point. It's like let it
Yeah,
go. So it's not like I care about the point itself. What I care about is the fact that it became an issue, that like we
yeah,
can just
but
get so caught up in
how can he
stuff,
let it go when 4 months after people are bugging him about it, like, and probably like hundreds of thousands of people are bugging him about it. So he's like
tagging him.
going
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to defend it. Yeah,
Well, so what I think it means is that Johan maybe does have the final say as a captain. I think maybe what he was hinting at is like, I absolutely, as team captain, have the option to go again myself on round two, but I'm going to
hmm
let Jungleman go, and he should be thankful that I'm doing this for him.
hmm
Maybe was the vibe that I was getting from what he was saying, which just kind of answers our question about whether or not like do they actually get a say,
yeah, exactly.
and they're very silently just like not giving kind of a chance to get any gold coins. Not even like you go first, we'll give you a shot, but
But why would you?
I don't know, be nice.
Yeah, but you want to win 446K, no? 456.
Yeah, but they're friends. Well,
Well,
so
these
wait,
two aren't.
yeah, no, why would you? You're right, she really has no leg to stand on in that room. Maybe if she didn't, maybe if the first words out of her mouth were not, well, they don't know that she said she wanted a glass of wine. Like when the first words out of your mouth when you walk into the room in round one is like, all right, I need a glass of wine before I go play. It's like now you got no leg to stand on for the rest of the matches. You're definitely
Yeah,
not you're definitely not pushing for yourself to be the best in any one of those rooms.
but
But
also the way this round is made to be is like 100% somebody is going to be left out. Like it
uh,
happened in Fedor team that everybody get to play and get some coins, so that was great. But if Fedor swoops, like somebody's getting screwed on the other match. Like either Maria or Josh goes first, but like the other one is screwed. So
yeah,
it's just like it's meant in a way to create problems, and somebody has to take the worst of it.
it's genius.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So do you remember what your prediction was? Because I just
Oh
remember,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I said Maria was going to sweep it, and she beat Andy, but then she lost. So I know I
yeah.
didn't get it right.
Me too. I said Maria would win, and afterwards,
That
David would
David would beat.
beat
Yeah,
her.
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Okay, so we pushed
yeah, we did.
on that one. So now we've got,
It's Maria against Yo Viral team. So it's Jungleman versus Maria in the first match.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Jungleman, I mean Fedor, Maria, and Josh versus Jungleman, Yo, and Kaina. And it's Jungleman and Maria first match. Okay, well that's a pretty good. Does does Jungleman just win? So the structure is pretty fast. So
Well,
like
first let's talk about the order. Like I think Yovar is going to be second in Jungleman's team. Pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so she's really getting screwed over, and unless he does like really give her a shot, but like I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, no, I'm better, and just like going in.
You're talking about
But
Kaina.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
pretty
If
sure
she gets to get in there, yeah, yeah.
that's what
Okay.
Johan's gonna do, but not to say that he's a dick or anything. Like it's just uh trying to get the best hedge for him. So I think he's giving a chance to his friend, but I don't think he's letting her pass in front of him. And in the other team, do you think Fedor goes second?
Yeah, I think that's what their conversation was
Yeah,
for Fader goes second.
yeah,
So
because
yeah, I
Fedor
think
didn't
so.
get any coins, right?
No, he lost the first one. So
So actually, like, why would Maria go first? Like, I think Fedor should go first. He didn't get any coins, and she got coins, and she just like spewed a few for tanking.
because I think they probably assume that Fedor just got unlucky, and if he goes first again, he's still more likely to win all three. But they're they're in the same mindset that we were. That's just like, well, the player that has an edge is going to win, but the structure is also pretty fast. That like the edge is not as big as we think in these.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe because Fedor's coins are actually he already has a big stack because he was on the winning team,
Yeah.
right? He's the captain, right?
I'm also not gonna pretend that I did the math or anything, but in Nagano's podcast, like there was Terrence who did
Yeah.
the math behind it, and he was saying that the EV, assuming that everybody's just like 50-50 to win, like the EV in the first thing, like just to go first, is worth 6 gold coin.
Yeah, but they also so Charlie said the same thing. It happens 1 out of 8 times, and I couldn't figure that one. It was because it's 2 to the power of 3, right? Because you have a 50-50 to win each match. So you win the first one, win the second one, win the third one. It's 2 times 2 times 2. So we said 1 in 8 that outcomes you sweep all 3. So also though, when you lose and the second person plays, there's also only 1 out of 8 or whatever that they do the same thing, have the same outcome of winning all 3. So it's diluted a little bit. So like, yeah, you take the 1/8 chance that you get 90 coins, and then you have to also subtract the second place person and what coins they potentially get if you go like win the first 2 and then lose, and then the
Yeah.
second person could win or lose or whatever. So the difference that the first player has obviously is based on all these outcomes, which just the basic 50-50 is you just look at all the different outcomes and you see the odds for like all the different outcomes. And the most likely one is like player 1 wins the first and then loses the second or third. Obviously, the most rare is that they win all 3. So more than likely, like if the first player wins, like they're going to be between 30 and 60 coins. So like average like 40, whatever. But then the second player goes and the second player wins and they get 30 coins. So the difference between you going first and second is actually not that big, even though the coins you get seems pretty big because it's 40. But your chance of going second if you were going to win anyway. And then the EV for the team as a whole, like if Fedor was going to sweep, he's going to sweep whether he goes first or third. So the EV for the team as a whole is like basically the same.
The big difference is that if you're second or third, like you have less chance of having a sweep. So like it's more likely that you go and there's like 2 opponents to beat or 1 opponent
absolutely.
to beat. And if you're third, like it's very unlikely that you get a chance to sweep. So that's the big difference in EV.
Yeah. But when you consider like you still have to consider against the team because you still can't bust, like your team can't lose, your team has to win. So if you care at all about the 6 or 14 gold coin difference and you make it such that you order the team that you have the least edge, I don't know how that would work. Some weird scenario where like you put your worst player first and Jungleman beats them both, and then because you still every player is still going to play every other player. So the edge is always going to be realized, like they're always going to, but so like, yeah, there's kind of no order that makes it more or less likely for your team as a whole to lose. So it doesn't really matter. And then the coins you get is kind of like minuscule, but they were blowing up about using time bank and losing 2 coins. So like 14 is 7 time banks in round 2. So like if the edge is 14 coins, like that's 14 minutes worth of thinking of tanking or whatever.
We also talked before like the momentum and the mental part of it. So that's also a big thing about being first is that everybody in the room gets to see the hands you play and they're trying to adjust to this strategy and you know that about them. So you're, I don't know, I wouldn't say you have like a big edge over that, but you do have a little bit more of an edge than they do over you, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very curious to see what the next round would be then. So let's first prediction for Jungleman Maria, prediction for the 2 teams, and then what do you think round 3 is?
Okay. I think Jungleman beats Maria. Like I don't think he's gonna fall for
Does she get trounced though? or do they go to round 4 or 5?
Rounds, I don't know what that is.
Oh, does she get crushed? Does she get
Oh,
owned? Does she get owned? Or does it go to like,
well, I definitely think he's gonna put her in a very tough spot, and I
you
don't
think?
think
Yeah.
she's gonna go for it. Like, I think she's gonna fold her way and try to uh wait for the great spot for her, and I think it's gonna be a little bit too late. Like maybe she gets a double up back to even, and they play it out. But I'm pretty sure he's gonna beat her. I wouldn't say crush, but I'd say pretty sure he's gonna
Yeah.
win. Afterwards, it's gonna be Fedor. That's gonna be a very clashing type of match. Like I think it could go either way. I think I would like Fedor to win just because he didn't get a cold before, but I wouldn't say that's based on out of anything, like just out of fairness or whatever. I think
Yeah.
it would be great for Fedor to win. And afterwards, Viral, for the same reason, I think he should lose just because he already has such an edge. But I don't think like he's outmatched. Like I don't think he doesn't have any shot. Like he definitely does. So I think it could be a very good match to see too. And yeah, the more I think about it, the more I want Jungle Mel to lose, just because I think it's going to be a very good match to see Jungle Man versus Fedor, and afterwards Fedor versus Yoan. And if Jungle Man wins against Fedor and he plays against Josh, to me, wouldn't be as exciting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely like my personal preference. Doesn't mean like it's based out of anything. So after that,
Yeah.
I
I don't think,
I I lastly think Yuan should lose also, so that we get to see Kaina play heads up, because otherwise, like, she's not even in this round at all.
okay, that would be interesting though, because that's the only one where, so if kind of plays, I think that's the only one where it is like, okay, she gets trounced. Like Maria versus Fedor, Maria versus Jungleman, all those like they have an edge for sure, realized over time, but in this structure in this match, like it's still gonna be hard to find the spots to really like go for it. But if we get to the point that it's kind of versus Fedor, like she just gets wrecked,
Well,
right?
let's
Like
go for a redemption story. Like, if everybody thinks it's script anyways, like it's the best thing. Like it's David versus Goliath. Like
that would be the best script.
she just shoves all the time. Like she doesn't make the best decision. But like Fedor has to pick a hand to go. He goes with the best of it, obviously. But he loses just because, like, whatever. He's four offsuit between
Yeah,
queens. And he
okay,
just
but
like,
that's different. That's like
yeah.
that's the
So
cards
she
and
wins, and then she wins against Josh, and it's like boom, she wins 60 gold coins, and like she gets back in the room and she's like, "See, I wasn't the worst out of you. Like,
so I'm
should have put me
talking
first
like
in your face,
entertainment
bitches."
value. I love the idea of like you said, Jungleman Fedor and Yo Viral and Fedor. Like the hands when Charlie Carroll and Fedor played, and they went
Mhm.
like to level 6 and just trading big blinds back and forth. And we didn't see all the hands, but you can tell it shows you the two hands in the flop. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is interesting. And then we see some spots that are interesting. But on the other side of the spectrum, in terms of entertainment value of just like running someone over, I think I'd like to see, not that I'd like to see kind of lose. I would like to see just max exploit play from someone who knows these spots where the trigger should be pulled. So I think
Mhm.
that would be cool to see. What I think will happen is Jungleman. I'd have to say Jungleman will win just because I think that's the edge there. But I think his ego is there's a possibility that his ego gets the best of him against Maria. Just
Mhm.
he's tilted. Whether or not he finished his book and he's like spiritually centered, if he's still tilted from like the previous day, I think maybe he goes in there like, okay, let me just beat Maria, and then I have a tough opponent with Fedor, and like he could walk into it a couple times, bad decisions, whatever.
But it's
But
a different day though, so I have to believe that Jungle Man can come back centered again. So, like, from David Williams for like leaving the room and like going into a match right away, like within seconds or whatever. Like, I think it's fine not to be able to recenter yourself and not even think about it and just like go gun blazing and like realize afterwards that you made a mess. I think it makes sense. But for Jungle Man, the day after to still be emotionally unstable about it, whatever, I think it would be really uh unlike him.
Yeah.
Because I definitely think he's gone through worse in his career. Like, definitely happens before.
So just for the sake of, well, I think we both agree Jungleman's gonna beat Maria, but then for the sake of having a bet, I'll just say Jungleman sweeps.
Okay.
Well, I think Kaina's not gonna play.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I'm going
But
for like the very like
let's say Jungleman sweeps. All right, so
for the
then
long shot.
we still have to see. So the next episode is going to be that match, and then the episode after that is going to be the other bracket, losers bracket. But when we're done with the heads up team battles, we're going to be left with, we should be left with 9 players because one team is leaving. I don't think they have any crazy like surprise, right? So then we're left with 9 players. Do they just do a 9-player sit and go, or do you think they do something else? Because 9 is an odd number, so they would also have 3 teams of 3, or like it looks weird.
Yeah.
But he did mention the winning team of the winners bracket goes straight to round 4. So round 3 is going to be 6 players something.
Okay.
That's
So
what I
that,
think. So it could be
yeah.
they could do 6 players sit and go and then end with 4 players, and they do heads up 4-player like heads up bracket.
Yeah.
That's possible.
So that makes more sense. So there's gonna be 6-player leftovers, and we're gonna do something where people are gonna die. So how many will be for the final table? 6 or
Well, it could be like, well, we have no idea, but I think what we do know is that round 3 or whatever is going to be the 6 players from the 2 losing teams, and round 4 is going to automatically have the 3 players from the winners bracket.
Yeah.
And so round 3 has to be 6 players getting whittled down to something. And so what they could do is have 2 people bust in some way, and then or 3 people bust some way, and then send 3 people up. So the final round becomes 6, or the 4th round becomes 6 people. Or they can do like, I was trying to think like maybe they do something where like 1 person from each team, or 2 people bust, or the bottom 3. Like if they do some sit and go where like the bottom 3 are gone, the first 3 out are out, and then they send 3 up. Or like they could do anything. They could send the first person out, and then 5 go up, and they do an 8-handed thing where they have 2 teams of 4. Those 2 teams of 4, do something and then whittle down. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's open for anything. The more that I think about it, the more different options there are to break this down. And I really just assume, because it's Poker After Dark, that they're going to do a classic like 6-handed cash game, sit and go, Poker After Dark, old school thing at the end. So I'm thinking they get down to 6 players and then do that. Maybe the blinds go up after every person busts. But the fact that they're looking at big blinds leads me to believe that maybe they do something with swapping gold. So how crazy would that be if kind of goes into the next round with like the shortest stack, 26 gold, whatever, but she busts Fedor in some suck out and she gets all of his gold in like round. So then she gets to go to round 4 or something with like 130. That would be sick, because it's like a bounty tournament where like now you want to take spots because the gold's behind it. And that would be another ripple or something in poker that they could add in, where your gold on your becomes your bounty for the next round. So it becomes a bounty thing, which just adds another aspect of poker thrown into the thing. And then they end it with, so then they get 4 or 5 players or whatever with like 200 big blinds each, because the gold all swapped, and then they can play like the old school Poker After Dark, like sit and go style thing. I don't know, that'd be cool.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So till next time.
It would be a bittersweet victory for the team to go already to round 4. Like they can't have access to all these gold.
Oh, that's a good point. You crushed my whole theory. It's got
no, it's still possible. But I'm just saying, like, you guys are sure to make the final table, so like there's a little sweat for you, but you also don't have a shot at like getting more gold.
We don't know that it's final table. There could be a round 5. All he said was that the winners skip round 3. There could be round 4 could be swapping gold, and then round 5 could be like a heads up of 4 or something. I don't know. Round 3 could just be to lose 2 people or 1 person.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy not knowing everything. Like usually they all say everything that's gonna happen, and then you just get to already foresee everything that's gonna happen, and like we can make all this prediction and whatever. but like it's really cool that we just get to talk about everything that could happen, and that they could make like endless series of this show.
So we had a thread on the Instagram, Pokerski. If I got his name wrong, I'll just edit it out. So the guy said he's watching, he loves it, he's watching it with his wife. I was like, oh, this is only season 1. Like, imagine season 2 and 3, like all the stuff they could do. He's like, yeah, even my wife who doesn't play poker loves watching it. And I'm thinking, like, season 2, imagine they invite like pros with their significant other. So it's like Helmuth comes in with is Helmuth married? So like imagine
he is married.
Negreanu comes in with it and they have to like bring a friend or something, and it becomes like you do the pro match and the friends match, and you get like a day to prepare them for it. So you get like a day of coaching, and then you just throw your friends into this match, and your goal depends on
I think it would be an issue with the significant other. Like, I think friends is good, but like I think wife, husband, whatever, like married, like Helmut might get divorced after this show.
No, you don't have them play against each other. You have them separate.
No,
like,
for sure. But like all the
people.
coaching he's gonna tell her, and like all
and
the
she loses
stupid shit that she did, like they're gonna get divorced. 100%.
That's brutal, dude. That might be worse than the Negreanu's marriage lasts longer.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
See you. You could just change the image every time. Put a big maple leaf flag instead of the green chip.
I don't have an image now, but if you want, I can go get one.
No, that's fine. I was just saying. You can play with it. You can get creative with it.